Hello and welcome. This is Tagged. Thanks to Victoria, every bit different. We have the AFL Grand Final fastly approaching. The AFLW season is in full swing. We're going into our condensed period. We're going to talk about the big move that could potentially break everyone's heart as a Richmond supporter. But first of all, I'd like to start by saying I'm not sure if Rowe walked out of the hospital at Richmond or if she's coming in with a beautiful black nose. But Rowe, tell me, you've had a little bit of work done.
Hosko, my heart is broken. I was in a contest against Brisbane on Friday, and you know, people put their bodies on the line in the game that we play in AFLW, but I put my face on the line. So I don't know how it happened, but some way or another I got my face squished into the grass, and it was like as if someone like put their hand on the top of my head and just rinsed it around in the grass and basically peeled back the skin on my nose. But it felt like my whole forehead was gone at the time, so I was there dabbing my forehead being like, have I no skin on my face?
What are you saying? Your forehead?
My forehead.
My forehead. Your forehead.
Such a language barrier problem here. So my forehead.
Thank you. That's better.
So my skin was peeled back on my nose. But anyway, look, apparently it'll heal in about a week's time, but Marzi did a good job of touching me up with makeup here, so but you can still see it.
Well, lucky for you, we're a podcast, but for those, if you're just listening in, make sure you jump on the afl.com.au and look to see Rowe's nose where she has on her forehead.
And my teammates are so happy about it as well, which is, yeah, that's the problem. But look, we had a game against Brisbane on Friday, and we're into our condensed fixture. We had a disappointing loss against Brisbane, but their quality side.
Well, talk to me a little bit about where Collingwood was at. I think that's the question on a lot of people's mind. Is for me, I thought Collingwood would be up there this season as, you know, one of the contenders, but it's obviously a little bit disappointing coming in early on.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing. You come off the back of 3 losses and everyone thinks that, oh, what's going on in Collingwood? Whereas we actually feel a sense that we're trying to build a sustainable system for the future. We have a new coach, we have a full new setup, and we have a couple of new players. So we're very steadfast in where we're going. We're a determined group and we have a lot of fight and spirit, and there's still that feeling around our group.
So the vibes are still high at Collingwood.
The vibes and the morale are still very high. And I think we have a chance to turn it around as well. And I think with losses, with sport, you got to move on really quickly. And it's the way we're going to respond to these 3 losses that will, you know, make or break our season. But we have Charlotte Taylor coming back this week into our side tonight, actually, as we play West Coast, playing Jess Hosking and the girls. So
you say that with a bit of attitude and sass.
Bit of attitude. So we're looking to hopefully redeem ourselves tonight. But yeah, you got to move on quick in sport. But overall, we just want to learn every week and just get a small bit better. But talk to us about the Swans.
Yes, we played Swannies Richmond on the weekend. Over in Coffs Harbour, which was awesome. We went over there for one night, but we got a big win against the Swannies. So we sort of, the way we came in and prepped, we knew they were going to be a strong side, but we started probably the best we've ever started in a game before. We hit the scoreboard strong. I think we kicked 4 or 5.
Speaking of scoreboard, you hit the scoreboard again, not once, but twice. Was it the massages again, or like how did this happen? Because I believe it was 50% game time for you, but you seem to be executing every time you're on the field.
I know. I guess so you just got to make a bit of impact. I am still getting regular massages. You're making me say it weird. Massages. I'm getting regular massages, and thank you to our physio team, High Performance Medical, because they look after me very well. But I don't know. I think I've turned into a goal kicker.
Is it the change of forward? What do you think it is?
Yeah. Well, I think just going for it was funny. Kate Sheen, our GM, said to me after the game, she goes, you really need to work on your goal celebrations, because she said I kind of just like put my arms up after I kicked a goal because I'm genuinely still surprised that I'm kicking them. So it doesn't happen very often.
Speaking of goal celebrations, did you see Alana Porter, forward, when she scored a goal? She literally leapt off the ground so high. I was like, that is the highest CMJ jump I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen someone lift so high off the ground. Anyway, so you need to look at that and get some inspiration inspiration from it.
I do. But it was an exciting game anyway. Not enough about me. Katie Brennan played a ripper game. She kicked 3 goals too. And it was an awesome game for our Richmond side, where we're starting to put together sort of a bit more of a full performance. So I think we were just excited we could hit the ground running. And I do want to talk about is Kate Dempsey. So she's been part of the Richmond side since Richmond came into the competition.
Yes, I saw this footage.
She's got a young daughter, Pippa.
Yes.
Now, Pippa, it's giving me real Katrina Gorry vibes. So if you watched part of the World Cup, the Aussie side, Katrina Gorry and her daughter Harper took the hearts of the nation, and I think Kate and Pippa Dempsey are doing the same thing. So Pippa Dempsey got to come on our trip with Kate's partner, Ali, and it was honestly the best thing I've ever seen. Like, I loved it. I think the energy amongst the girls, Richmond media, they mic'd up Pippa for most of the trip, so they've put up a little video as well, which you can watch, and it melts your heart watching this young girl. Pippa, I don't even know how old she is. She'd be 2 years old now, I think. She's talking, she's walking, she's having fun, but she's just running around with 30 aunties that you just watch her, and I'm in awe. Imagine being able to do that as a young child, see your mum playing professional football and then getting to be there for the whole thing.
I know, it is amazing. And when I was watching the footage, I was like, it's just when you look at a kid running around at a footy game, you're like, what's going on in their mind? Like, are they absorbing? And like, kids are like sponges. You can imagine what's going on in Pippa's mind and what she's taken in and how she'll remember this when she grows older. But I also had a friend of mine bring her kids to our game in Brisbane, and obviously after a loss you're disappointed and you're kind of inside your head, but I looked to the crowd and she was just blowing me kisses and waving at me, and I was like, you know what, this is actually, it doesn't matter. Football doesn't matter. It's like perspective. And after the game, my friend was like, she actually left the ground. I gave her a footy and she wanted to sleep with it. So we really don't realise on the bigger picture, Pippa is one story of many, like, Ash Brazel, Sabrina Frederick at Collingwood. But it does so much for, yes, the people in our environment and who have kids, but also the wider community of the support in people going to AFLW games, and how AFLW really is a space for people to bring their friends, their family, their kids. And, you really don't realise the impact you're having, but it's such a special thing. The question I have for you, Hosko, does it make you want to have one?
Oh, yes.
Imagine having your kid, though. It would be so special for those girls.
I do, but I still struggle to look after myself,
I know,
let alone look after something else. I've got a 13-year-old dog and I look after him, but I mean, you see these young kids come. Pippa there, she's absolutely gorgeous, but then the second that she cries or you can smell some poo, sorry, I'm out. It's not my time just yet.
No.
But I don't know. I just think that you look at what the female body can do as well, and as a mum, whether you're carrying your baby, I know, like Kate Dempsey was able to bring her partner Ali, who carried their child as well, and to see what Demps does as a mum in the club, how you can switch from being a mum to then perform as an elite athlete and still get the most out of your body, be able to I don't know, I'm in awe of what they can do. And I sit there and go, people, I think mums stand there and go, well, you just learn, like you have to learn on the fly, but you really learn about your bodies and see how amazing you are.
But isn't it incredible as well that the AFL have recognised that this season with our contracts and how they're supporting people going on maternity leave and all those things? I think that's real added value, I think, and for players to know that they're supported in that space. It's like football is any other job as well. The maternity leave still applies to the AFLW players, which is class to see.
And it does post your contract too. So I was trying to map out when I could have my baby, and it was probably going to be towards the last month of my contract, and then I could still make most of the maternity leave options. But I think that's huge from the AFL, and I know that it was a big talking point amongst players. Is that I'm not in a position right now where I'm going to have a baby, but the fact that I can sit there and go, I know that I'm supported by the industry, and sitting there. Again, Pippa Dempsey's going to come to our Darwin game, and Kate Dempsey's mum's going to come and join us in Darwin. So sitting there already, just knowing that you can have your family with you when you travel and not have to leave them behind for a week and that kind of thing. I think it's just amazing, and AFL's done a great job leading the industry in this maternity leave space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Rowe, it's been another week, a huge week of AFLW. We're seeing an even spread across the board. There's only 2 teams that are undefeated at the moment, but another big talking point that has come out of this is some of the season-ending injuries. We saw, again, Alana Woodward from Sydney has done a partial tear of her ACL, adding to that tally of ACL injuries. Ali Blackburn has been ruled out for the season. Eloise Jones also out for the season, and joins a long list of other players. And some of these key players across AFLW, we know that AFL are doing such a great job supporting the players and supporting the competition in injuries, but we're trying to get a feel of what it's like at Clubland and what the players are sort of feeling amongst these injuries.
Yeah, it's always hard to see when you see the news pop up and you see ACL injuries or season-ending injuries for big players, like particularly like Ellie Blackburn, these players who are like leaders in the game. You're like, it's just so sad to see. But I think in terms when you talk about the feeling around ACLs, yeah, of course it's topical in our sport, but in sport across the world, you know, you look at the World Cup, it put a spotlight on the magnitude of ACLs throughout female sport in general. So like it does raise questions, but we know that the AFL obviously do so much, and each club does so many things in terms of prep to play. And if I was to think about AFLW when I first came out 7 years ago to now and how we prepare, it's so different. So we are evolving, the wheels are turning, and we're constantly trying to get better. And I think then as an individual, when you look at it from your perspective and my perspective and how we feel about it, is like, yeah, there's definitely a level of fear around the dreaded ACL. And like in the off season, say you have a couple of months to do your own training. I went to train with a guy called Dean Benton, who's done quite a bit of research on ACLs and ACL preventions, and I was just like asking him questions about, you know, how I should prepare. So he kind of changed the way I look at how to prepare. And we went away from the weights room a small bit and a bit more into the acceleration, deceleration, plyometrics based training. Now, it challenged my way of thinking because it's not the way I've prepared before. But that's just, I'm trying to find different answers like outside of your own realm as well. Like I think as an individual, you got to take responsibility for your own prep or whatever you're going to do. But like sometimes you're just like, it feels like you can't avoid them. I don't know. That's the scary part. No matter how much preparation you do, because some of these girls have done everything they can and then they end in this bad luck, I suppose.
Well, I think that's it, is sometimes you weigh up the different kinds of injuries. And Nick Barr was another one who on the weekend looks to have had a relatively serious hamstring injury, and that happened in a tackle where she was lunging for a tackle. So there's that type of injury. She was number 1 draft pick in the first ever AFLW draft. So that's, again, huge. Like these players that are going down at the moment, they're not just, you know, again, top-up players that people haven't heard of. These are players that have been around the competition and built the competition and headlining the faces of AFL house type players. So I think you look at the way that everyone prepares, and some of these injuries are innocuous. Again, Eloise Jones running in a straight line and her Achilles goes, or you look at Ali Blackburn, hers was in a tackle as well. So I think, you know, there's so many different factors that you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I feel so sorry for high performance managers at the moment, because you look into every little detail of your program, whether it's, you know, how much running did this player do, how much acceleration, deceleration did they do, and sometimes it's just innocuous and shit luck, unfortunately.
Yeah, literally. And sport is a contest of movement. It's like, and some of these players, it's not that they don't move well and like that they're not so well prepared. I think that's the part that's mind-boggling sometimes for us, and we're like, how can we do things to prevent them?
And clubs are doing everything they can. AFL's doing everything they can at the moment to try and implement some of these ACL prevention programs, injury prevention programs. I know Swinburne, one of our sponsors, they come in and help do some prevention programs. So I think the support's all there. Obviously, it's going to take time and effort to be able to invest in, you know, more resources and
resources.
Yeah, it takes time to get all this data and make sure that, you know, we're doing the right thing by players. But again, we feel for those players that are injured at the moment. We hope you're back out there soon. And on to an exciting topic. We have St Kilda player, an exciting
St
player
Kilda's
coming.
powerhouse.
Yes.
On-balled winner.
On bald.
Oh, here we go again. Does anyone else, can I just get some support in this room? But did I say ball or on
You
ball?
said bald. But Liv Vesely will be joining us very shortly, right after the break.
We are so excited to have a special guest in Tagged with us this week. So, St Kilda's powerhouse. This girl blows up the GPS. We have St Kilda's Liv Vesely.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Did you like that intro?
Yeah, it's better than being called bald. So I did.
I'm bald.
Oh, God. Well, Liv's come in. She's a little bit nervous this morning because she thinks we're going to throw her under the bus. Now, you're not wrong, because we will. I've dished some dirt, or we've had some of your teammates dish a bit of dirt on you. We've asked Steph Chiocci.
Yeah.
I've also asked Natalie Plain. Yeah. Oh, there we go. That's a good one. So
You can give it back to Steph, as
Yeah,
well. Like, so if
I
we
will.
give it, you can go back to
So
it.
what I thought I'd ask, your teammates have given us, you've been fined a couple of times at the club. So
I'm basically paying for a football trip at this point.
So, well, this is good. Yeah. So most clubs, they go through a fine system where if you do some silly stuff at training or throughout the week, you get fined. Now, I thought I'd let you confess first. What is it that you get fined for most?
Oh, I don't even know. I actually get fined for the most bizarre things. I think potentially tripping over myself would be a common factor or common theme, I guess you could say. I think my shoelaces were caught on each other the other night and just fell into. It looked like I'd been pushed over by a ghost on the training vision, but. Yeah, I don't know. They come up with some rogue things. And also the worst part about it is I'm one of the fines masters. So I'm meant to be
You have
in
to
charge.
fine yourself.
Yeah.
How do you do it with? Who's the other fines master?
Beth Pinchin,
Okay.
who is hilarious
Yeah.
and is definitely a good fines master. I just basically stand by her side and click the next button on the PowerPoint.
Hey, know your role and play it.
Yes, yes.
So you're known as a giraffe on ice skates. That's what they've been saying. But
Okay.
also another thing that we believe you've been fined for, and I have massive questions around this. Like, why would you wear your mouth guard in the gym when you're doing your gym session? Your pink mouth guard.
I actually have my mouth guard on. I'm not even going to try and deny this. I wear it everywhere. I've worn it in the shower once.
why?
By mistake.
Shower.
By mistake. I feel like you know it's in there.
No, it's sort of like a security blanket. And no, it's not, because I'm not actually that anxious around the club. I do love the club. But I think I actually had an incident when I was 8 years old. I chipped my front tooth in half running to a game. So not even at the football game.
So tripping over your own feet again. There's a consistent pattern here.
This is built up trauma.
Didn't mean to bring that back up. But yeah,
Wow.
I think I just like having it in. My teeth, I've had braces for a long time.
Liv,
I
well,
guess.
don't mind your teammates then throwing you under the bus.
Yeah.
Well, we do want to pump you up on Tags.
Oh,
We don't
thank
want to
you.
just bring you down. So I do want to get straight into your footy stuff, because your footy does the talking. Maybe off field falling over, a different story, but your footy does the talking for you. But you had a little bit of a different, I guess, introduction into footy.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your pathway into footy.
I played under 9s at East Melbourne Knights with the boys, with Grace Beasley, who actually just got drafted to Melbourne. The two of us in an all boys team. And then I was a very scrawny little kid, and so mum and dad were like, no, we don't want you playing with the boys. So I went back to play basketball, tennis, running, everything else. And then at 16 went to a talent search that was actually, I think, advertised by Daisy Pearce and Nathan Jones. I was a massive Melbourne supporter back then. And did a whole heap of fitness testing on some 40-degree day. It was pretty insane. But luckily enough, Damien Keeping and Shiloh Curtis were there and sort of, I guess, scouted me in a way. I ended up playing Vic Metro 6 weeks later, which was crazy. And then played my 5th proper, I guess you could say, football game on the MCG in that final with some epic players like Tyler Hanks, Maddie Press-Parkers, Catherine Smith, Deanna Berry, all on my team. I don't think I got many minutes, but it was still pretty surreal.
Hey, best seat in the house on the bench.
100%. And pretty surreal intro to footy. It was, unreal. So I'm very lucky. I think definitely a lot of luck in my case. But yeah.
I don't think so. I think you're being very humble there. I think you have worked your way up, and I think even talking to your teammates, they just say you're such a hard worker, and these things don't happen by accident. Like, you really do have to work there, and then luck happens, I believe, anyway. So you've been doing so well yourself personally and coming off a career best season, but to talk about St Kilda at the moment and you guys being top of the ladder and being unbeaten so far in season 2024, can you talk to us about the feeling around the club, again, about your game against Essendon, and how the feeling is around the club?
Yeah, touch wood, about the top of the ladder. I mean, after 3 games, it's pretty surreal, but it's been 3 games, and as you guys spoke about before, it's so fast-paced, condensed fixture coming up, so everything can change. The feeling at the club is great. I think coming off Essendon, we were just happy to get it done. Obviously, Windy Hill is basically a fortress for them. It's very hard to beat them there, so going into it, we knew we just had to play our best team game and just approach everything as it came. And I think our first half was pretty hard and challenging, but we knew if we, I guess, stuck to our values, team first, just playing for each other. And I think that's the belief at the club at the moment, is that I think it's probably been spoken about a bit as well, is that we all truly have this desire for each other to succeed, and individually, obviously you want to perform your best for the team, but we really want to play into each other's strengths and, I guess, make each other better. And I think that's been really helping our game the last 3 weeks, and hopefully can bring that into the next couple of weeks with a tough fixture coming up.
And did I see that was the first time St Kilda men's or women's team has beaten Essendon at Windy Hill since
1978.
There you go. Wow. You can say that.
Which is crazy.
Huge, isn't it? I grew up a Saints supporter, so Nicky Dell was one of my favourite players.
He's phenomenal, and he's probably pushing I guess the mindset and attitude that we've had to start the season and during the pre-season as well. I think in the past few seasons we've all been like sort of what you were talking about, Collingwood being that I guess new up and coming team, but building, and I think now we've got the players and foundations, so now it's just about putting it into action and really holding ourselves at a higher standard. And
do you feel like having a coach that has played at an elite level helps?
Definitely.
That's a loaded question, unloaded. But
yes.
What is there any take on that helps that Nick Del Santo has played at the top level?
Oh, definitely. I think his ability to understand the person and the player and the expectations of such an elite environment, and how emotionally, I guess, heightened the environment is, and then also just how short this time in our lives is. I think he's incredible at making sure we're living in every moment and celebrating the wins. We've, I guess, taken a photo after every game this year, and it's up on our wall, and it's just about celebrating all the staff. So all the staff have been in the photo, and I think we've had an awesome pre-season in that all the staff and all the players are really invested in one another. And our strength and conditioning team, you just spoke about how important they are. There's just so much emphasis on the 45 staff members that we have, as well as the 31 girls, so it's really cool.
You really speak with so much feeling, and I think sometimes when it comes to sport, it's that feeling that you can't always describe, you can just feel off a person. So coming into your next game against Hawks, how are you guys feeling for that, obviously with them going really well this season?
We're back home, which is awesome.
RSA
Park, and it's we're doing eras, I guess, now. They've called it like our mental fitness era.
I thought you were getting on the Taylor Swift bandwagon.
No, they are.
Like,
they are. Every RSA Park game has apparently a different Taylor Swift era.
Oh, wow.
But I think Hawthorn, just incredible side. Dominant midfield. It's awesome. I'm very excited to come up against the best in Batesy, and like Greta Bodie's in great form in the forward line. Bridie Hipwell as well. So it's going to be a challenge. We're really prepared to give it a good crack, but we know that we'll need to show our best. So it's exciting. But yeah, I think we'll take the challenge on.
Well, thank you, Liv. And Saints fans, for those listening and watching, you can head down to RSEA Park and watch Saints versus Hawks Saturday, 2:05 p.m. Liv, good luck.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
It's time for the tag list, thanks to Victoria, every bit different. So the tag list features our weekly recommendations from attractions to cafes to restaurants. If we love it, we're tagging it. So this week, Hosko, what's on your tag list?
My tag list this week is the Breath House or the Breath Haus. I don't know. It's meant to be the German way of saying I think. But it is a breathwork class. Now, on Instagram, it is the Breath House, but spelt Haus. So give them a follow. Have a little look. I've been going to a couple of their breathwork sessions and it is a game changer. Honestly, my body has not experienced something like this. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'm having these out-of-body experiences when I go there. It's phenomenal. You lay down, it's calm, there's music, they do like the little gong bowl thing. You're doing nose breathing, mouth breathing, and then I'm also finding myself in this different state. So highly recommend going to those. Richmond and Windsor they have.
Yeah, I've actually been to one of those before. They actually started on the beach in Elwood a couple of years ago, and how much they've evolved. They're run by Ella Pike and Nathan Freeman, who's an ex-AFL player. Yeah, so and you see so many athletes going at the moment, but it's that real release that it gives you. But yeah, they've obviously grown so much over time, and it's really become infectious, I think, for many people.
It is, and trust me, once you go, let me know about it, because if you know, you know. That's all. That's all I'm going to say. If you know, you know, but trust me, you have to go and check it out. Rowe, what's on your tag list this week?
Well, mine is something a small bit different, a bit of a different twist. So now I have a really funny relationship with cheese, okay? I love cheese, but I slightly have an allergic reaction to it.
Right.
But I can tolerate soft cheeses. So I found a place in Geelong called Splatter Cheese Bar.
Wait, now, so for the Aussie accents, go Splatter Cheese Bar. Splatter.
Yeah. Cheese Bar. Right. So it's basically like a sushi train, but with cheese.
No.
So you can pick and choose what you want. And I'm obsessed with cheese. And it's like that forbidden fruit where I'm like, I shouldn't have it, but I'm going to have it. But I actually did a podcast like a couple of months ago for Dylan Friends, and before I went on it, I had a pizza the night before and I woke up with a full swollen face, and I'd say Dill was like, who is this blowfish that arrived to the studio? But anyway, I love cheese, so I've managed to find a place where I can kind of pick and choose and be a bit more selective about it. But there's also a couple of other places down in Geelong. To mention, Chin Chin has just opened around at GMHBA.
Yeah, when I was commentating down there, I went to go check it out. It's cool.
It's so good. I feel like that's a restaurant that you know that every time you know what you're going to get, it's quality.
Especially for footy fans, how good having Chin Chin at GMHBA.
Good. So good. Quality food. So looking forward to trying that as well.
Well, that's all for our tag list this week. Thanks to Victoria, every bit different. Rowie, okay, before we wrap up the show, I do want to say, because sometimes there's a thing called commentator's curse where you say something and it comes to fruition, or it might be a player doing something special. I want to pump up my own tyres.
I was just going to say, you want to compliment yourself. Yes. I know what's coming next. Go on, tell us, Hosko.
You tell me.
So you called it. You were the first person to say that Dusty was going to go to Suns.
Yes, I was, to Gold Coast. Now, if Dustin Martin goes to Gold Coast, it will break the hearts of every Richmond fan. Now, I have some diehard Richmond fans back on the peninsula, and this week, I think it was AFL. I'm not sure who broke the news this week, but it sounds like that Dusty is interested in going to Gold Coast, and it may actually happen. These people were posting on their Instagrams. They were virtually crying. I could see the tears from my screen. So if that happens, I want to have to put it on scale. It's like Nat Fyfe going to West Coast. It's like Dane Swan going to Geelong after they just got beaten in a grand final. Like, it is Nick Riewoldt moving to Collingwood after they've just been beaten in a grand final. This is like big news things if Dusty goes to Gold Coast.
This is massive.
You heard it here first on Tag.
We heard it, and that's the moral of the story. That's actually all Hosko wants people to get out of this, is that she called it first. That's actually a perfect way to wrap up the show, because we cannot pump Hosko's tires anymore. So Tagged...
It's getting too big.
Head is getting too big. So just a reminder that Tagged is a vodcast and a podcast. So if you haven't hit the follow on the pod just yet, jump onto iTunes, Spotify, and get it done.
That's right. Make sure you have a little look at Rowe's scratch on her nose on the vodcast. But also, if you want to get in touch and ask us some questions, you can also hit us up. We have our own account now. It's tagged at afl.com.au.
Catch us next week on Tagged.
Bye for now.